Thank you for this opportunity to present on leading from where you are. My subtopic is on regarding the topic of mentoring and being mentored, which I will focus on leadership and development with a business degree and skills applied in the government sector. And these lessons can be taken to the private sector as well. I'm going to fast forward into being in a leadership position. So, however you come across that leadership position, I've seen people gain and access those leadership positions in many different ways. Some might be that they were in line and it was just a natural process of them being the next person for that leadership position. Some are gain those leadership positions simply by being at the right place at the right time. Others gain them maybe even because nobody else wants them. Some people get them, they're out there specifically searching, looking for those leadership positions. However, you get them, there's no really wrong way to get them because just like any management position or any leadership position, it's always going to come with a learning curve and some challenges. And most of the time, people are not properly prepared for what they're going to encounter in those leadership positions. Now, ideally, you want to, which is probably why you're listening to this presentation, is you're going to want to be as prepared as possible for these opportunities and seek them out and prepare yourself. Now, the good thing is, and the reason I mentioned having business degrees in the government sector, because that is more of the exception rather than the rule. Many times in government or in the public sector, people will have non-business degrees such as public policy or political science or social work, things of that nature. So you'll go from this feeling of getting and being in the leadership position and feeling like an outsider, but that's okay. There's a learning curve to these positions. So you should come to expect that there's going to be a learning curve. You're going to feel an outsider. No matter how you access that position, you're going to feel that pressure, that issue. You could have been from outside the organization put into it. You could have been from the inside the organization. It's just going to have a different feel about it. And it's going to take some time. So I say that also that you don't get surprised or disoriented by that feeling of being an outsider. And at some point, you're also going to realize that you do have some valuable and applicable skills for that position. But many times, simply having what it takes and being ready for that position is not enough because the leadership realities will hit you. And that's when I go a little bit into, well, not everybody's going to like you. And there's certain things that are challenging about being a leader and in a leadership position that are going to throw you off and going to make you question whether or not this was the right thing for you to do or to accept or to have sought out. So when seeking out a mentor, it's very important, in my opinion, that you understand you before you start, to be thoughtful about why you want that position, why you pursue that position, and what it is that you hope to do in that position and then throughout your career. I mean, ideally, you have some altruistic, bigger picture thing that you want to accomplish throughout your new role and new opportunity. So really understanding like what it is you're trying to accomplish, who you're trying to accomplish this for, understanding the organization's goals and mission and how they do things, and make sure it aligns properly with what you're trying to do and what you believe in. It's also very important to think about your true north, that and how you make decisions, which is ultimately going to affect your leadership style. Within leadership, put up and throughout my experiences, learn to talk about an 80-20 rule. I've somewhere along the line, I've heard someone, can't give them credit. I don't remember who exactly said it, but someone said if you goal and your effort is to please 100% of the people you're dealing with, you'll most likely be an effective leader. And then just general understanding led me to believe if you have too low of an approval rate or too many people don't like what you're doing, well, maybe that's an indication that you're not really in tune with what is needed or for you for whoever you're managing or leading or working for. And you could be ousted quicker than you think. And so that's not necessarily the right approach either, to be, feared or disliked or at too high of a percentage. So I came up with compromise, thinking that by default, there's going to be 20% of people who will just not like you or what you're doing for a variety of reasons. Could be envy, it could be they have different plans, it could be and on and on and on. It could be a lot of personality conflicts. It could be on and on different things. But you're not going to make everybody happy. You got to be cautious about and question your decision making, your leadership style and ability if it starts dipping to too low of a approval rating. And sometimes you need to evaluate and think about kind of where do I stand on this 80-20 rule. Doesn't necessarily mean you need to start, once you dip below the 20, you got to start appealing to those people to get people or situations to get you back above the 20% or back uh, to a nice average. It just means you need to think about that maybe you're not crossing the line or you haven't changed or situations haven't changed on you. Now, as you come across these challenges that I mentioned, people not liking you, the situation not being appropriate for you, encountering aggressions from others, people going after you in your position, and then dealing with, then trying to figure out and how are you going to react and deal with these things. It's important to find and how you're going to come thrive and be successful. It's important to think about how to find mentors and gain mentors, because at some point you're dealing with surviving this leadership position, but also doing your best and thriving to accomplish what it is you set out to accomplish. And many times you're going to need a mentor, but not all mentors are equal. I've seen and throughout my career, many times people pick the wrong mentors or pick mentors based on what they think they can get out of them. But I would recommend that you first, when identifying mentors, think and get to know their why. Why do they do what they do? What makes them appealing as a mentor? I've seen people pick bad mentors, and while many people in leadership positions maybe already be mentors to others, can be there by the nature of how charismatic they are or being good people persons, they they might not necessarily be the best mentors because maybe they lead or manage through fear. They lead or manage through nepotism. They lead or manage just by simply having the title. I think at the end of the day, you're looking for someone who has found their true north, someone with the right wisdom, and someone who would want to be a mentor for the right reasons. Again, I've seen people pick wrong mentors almost to their detriment. Now, there's a bit of a follow through process with picking mentors and dealing with mentors, and being in leadership positions. And part of it is just simply surviving the ups and downs, the aggressions, the challenges. Now, it was through my MBA program when I had an opportunity to think about these leadership topics that I came across the wise words of Peter Drucker, known as the father of modern management. And one of his quotes always stuck in my head. I should have taken the time to think of exactly what he said, but as I was putting together my presentation, how I remember it is he said, a successful person spends more time on doing the right thing than on doing things right. Now, what does that mean? Doing things right, following the book and the guidelines to the T. Now, the book and the guidelines sometimes can be wrong and not have the best interests of the goals and the outcomes in mind. And many times you may have to do the right thing. Now, I've used my guiding principles of doing the right thing, and it in general has worked for me. Do I encounter issues? Yes, because some people don't differentiate between doing things right and doing the right thing. And now, through this process and how to thrive day after day, month after month, year after year, is to stay consistent with your analysis process, decision making process. Sometimes you need to be your own best advocate. Many times I see people who are doing the right thing and very humble about it, and they get pushed out or get frustrated because other people take credit or no one's seeing what they're really doing. So within reason, many times you need to be able to highlight what it is you're doing and your approach to remind people of how things and why things are getting done. And you may be the best one there. Now, there is a limit. Many times people don't like people being too boastful or too arrogant about it. So you've got to find that balance. Also, continuing to gain mentors, continue to gain advice, understand that you've got to continue to be learning and know that your mentors, sometimes their value, benefit, or how they do or look at things may have outgrown that. So having multiple mentors or people to chime in with from time to time can be valuable. And also continuing to learn from others. Many times when you're in a leadership role, people will approach you about the same and regular topics that you might already know how to address. But sometimes listening, hearing them out, you might pick up a tidbit of advice. Guys, it might not change your decision on the outcome, but you might learn a little something and start learning to look at things a little different because of something else. Now, leadership is tough. Leadership can be challenging. It's just the reality of it. We hear a lot of great stories about leadership, but there are challenges to it, and it can wear you out. And your situation may change, the organization may change, your reason may change. Try to have some method. Maybe it's every quarter, maybe it's once a year, at least every couple of years. Update your resume. Try to highlight some of the key points that and great things you have done. Keep your financial literacy up to date. Budget, save, save for that rainy day. I teach courses in financial literacy as an instructor. Having that money set aside for emergencies or that period in life where you may be unemployed and you still need to pay bills is a great stress relief and is a great plan. Even go further than that. I've heard and been a part of some presentation, listen in on presentations over my life. Even when I've been in high levels, I still attend conferences and workshops and presentations. I attended one workshop for minority MBAs where I heard someone speak, someone who reached very high levels in their industry, in the private sector, and they credit one of their abilities to take chances and change jobs and move up and down and but reach some high levels both career wise and financially to a foundation that they learned from their parents. They credited their kind of immigrant background and some parental guidance that early on they bought a duplex and lived in that. So the main takeaway there was that they could budget and save and live within their means in one unit and have potentially have some cash flow from the rental of another unit. And even as their career went up, as they took chances, try positions, or maybe had to exit or asked to exit positions and jobs, seek new jobs, they always had a sense of security, knowing that they were living within their means and they had another form of income to be fine. And also just being cautious of what you are giving up in your role. Sometimes these roles can be very demanding, time consuming. Are you giving up time with your family? Are you giving up time with your children? Are you giving up time for, you know, personal self care? Are you giving up time for other things that may make you happy or um, your life may change? There might be situations maybe when your children need more time of you and times when they need less of you. And maybe you need to be ready to take a step back. Or you want to change organizations and maybe make a lateral move. Or maybe you want to be ready to move up to other positions. When you're in your leadership position, right, we've talked about why you want to be in the leadership. You want to have your reasons, your why, your passion. You want to have your true north, and you want to develop mentors to keep helping you develop as a leader. Maybe you've come across situations where you just become jaded in the position. That's very possible. And you think of it like, well, the reason what you were in there is no longer there, and you're not acting or doing the what you wanted. You want to be authentic with yourself, and and maybe that's just a time when you exit before they ask you to exit, or you take on this personal professional development by seeking more mentors and fine tuning what it is, why you do it, and how you do it. Are your daily contributions still answering the fundamental purpose that drove you to that leadership position? Are your current decisions aligned with your core ethics and uncompromised values? Those, I think, within the time limit of this presentation, are some of the key things that you would want to think about when you find yourself or you're going after those leadership roles. What is your why? What is your true north? And how are you going to survive and thrive by surrounding yourself with the right people and mentors? Continuing to see that you're on the right track and taking self inventory of yourself to find out how do you survive and thrive or make your next move so that you don't burn out, so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you regret having taken that leadership role, or where you have an opportunity to decompress, unwind, and then reevaluate your interest and energy in continuing to pursue leadership roles in the future. I hope this brief presentation is helpful for you as a proud Woodbury University MBA alum. It is a great pleasure to present to you. A big thank you to Dr. Marquez for this opportunity to present. Please, if anybody does want to reach out, I'm happy to connect and chat some more. I quite frankly enjoy talking about this and sharing some tidbits of my journey and experiences. I'm always straightforward uh, about these type of things, just because I feel it's better to share the good and the bad of situations so people can learn. Thank you very much. Have a great day.